Hello, everyone. How are you today? This is kind of late here in Southern California, 6:28 p.m. So I do it on purpose that, I pushed it a little bit until sunset time. So it's about time for the sunset to arise. And then it can be extremely beautiful around here. So I want to show that part of my abode to you all. So anyway, it's so nice to see you again today in my paradise. Thank you for joining in. I see Lori, Daphis, Winnie, Regina, Linda. Hello, everyone, and Pamela. Thank you so much for tuning in. So let's talk a little bit about last weekend. Yeah, not the weekend past, but the weekend before last weekend, which was the weekend of 1st throughout the 4th, or the Labor Day weekend, which we had our retreat. And it was so good. And I really enjoyed it so much. I told you I had a little bit of trepidation because, I'm not someone who likes to be on schedule, like doing things according to deadlines. It's not my style. So those who have worked with me know that very well about me. So, I'll do things when I feel like it. When I don't feel like it, I don't do it. So the same with this thing too. So I always say, yeah, maybe today or maybe tomorrow. Sometimes I just say I don't know when, but I'm feeling it that I want to do another live video. So you just have to whatever, man. If you don't catch me live, you can always watch me later, right? So, and going back to the retreat, we had about probably like 16 ladies, and it was such a wonderful experience. And a lot of them, came with a lot of questions in their minds, a lot of confusions, and unanswered questions or unresolved issues, and even burden, like, oh my God, I'm so confused about a lot, certain things in my life. And I'm so surprised, and I'm so delighted that by the end of the retreat, they, one by one came to me. Thank you so much for answering, this point of confusion to me. That you're listening to me, it's just like open up a new horizon or a new possibility. So it's a breakthrough. That's the whole purpose of the retreat, right? To create a breakthrough. So you can go home like kind of feeling really, really good inside, in a way that, like, because you shift your energy, and hopefully this will last, because a lot of times when you go to a self-help seminar or retreat, it's you get high for like a few days or a few weeks at the most, and then you forget again. I'm not saying that you will not forget after my retreat. Very likely you will still relapse, and you still need to be reminded about what I teach you, what I talk about during the retreat. But overall, it was such an intimate, very fun, very relaxing weekend. And we got to eat a lot of great food, and our chef was just so wonderful. So Randy, this is the shout for you. I will tag you later, because see, it really is an excellent gourmet food. My favorite item was the Spanish rice and beef. It was really tasty, and I hope maybe next time you cook the same thing, just for me at least. So and yeah, the whole retreat was filmed, so you could also get it separately if you cannot come here. But I really hope you can make it, and because of this retreat fever that's going on with my team, our team right now. So instead of thinking of doing it again next year, like April or May during spring, so my tax accountant, Leslie, if you're listening, out of her ass, so all of a sudden she just said, "Why don't we just do it New Year's Eve?" I said, "Hell yeah, why not, right? New Year's Eve." Well, I've New Year's Eve never really something special for me, you know, it's just like another day because it's not that important for me to have a party or anything like that. But since we have a beautiful home, hey, why not, right? Invite people just to get together and have a New Year's Eve celebration with good food. And if you want to come to the retreat before that, you are more than welcome as well, but you can choose this time around. So I would have probably like 2 or 3 day package, or you can come just on the New Year's Eve day. So you can come in the morning and then stay until the party is over. Or you can even just come for the party. So like 5 p.m. onward, just for the food and for meeting me and the ladies there. We're just gonna have so much fun, that's all. I'm thinking maybe we're gonna have live music. Of course, holiday lights, and maybe some dancing too. Who knows, right? So it's still up in the air right now. I'm not even recovered yet from the previous one, but you know, if I'm feeling it in my gut, then it will happen. That's how I operate. So I have to feel it in my gut. I'm feeling it, and it's 3 months away. You know, the last time I prepared more or less the same amount of time, 3 or 4 months. Hopefully we can fill the spots up, and those who have come last Labor Day weekend, of course, you know, you're more than welcome to come back, and I understand that it will be costly to do it like twice a year. So we give you a special discount just to say thank you. And I would like, you know, this to be a tradition. I'm trying to make it affordable, so you know I can reach more people. And you know, yeah, my stuff really works, right? So sometimes I feel a little bit kind of in a conflict in a way, to charge a lot of more than I've already charged. But since my stuff is kind of like evergreen, you can always go back to it and listen over and over, you know, like even after months or years. So you don't, you know, I think at the moment I feel that they are like very reasonably priced. And if you just practice what I teach, you can't not succeed in life, and also in your private life as well, other than the relationship with men. Because what I teach to you is what I do every day, every single day in my life. So there is no split for me, you know. I talk the talk, I walk the walk. So there is no confusion in me, there is no doubt in me that, you know, whenever you just practice the things that I teach you, and then cultivate awareness, you cannot go wrong with life or in life. Anyway, so I will update the retreat page probably soon, tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, so you can check it out. What else do I want to say? Today, I want to talk something that of course, dear to my heart. And it's always, these days, I always talk about inner work, you know, all this stuff about texting a guy. How often do you have to respond, or how long do you have to respond to a guy after he texts first time, second time? It's just like, it doesn't matter in the end. At the end of the day, if you're a goddess, it doesn't really matter. It won't make or break your relationship. But I understand most of you are still on that level. Most of you are still looking for, you know, to exhaust every avenue about texting and all those kinds of things, right? But I feel myself, it's already been the last few years transitioning toward deeper stuff, stuff that really matters, stuff that not only is going to help your relationship, but help your career, help your life in general. And in the process, when you are, you know, you grow up yourself and you wake up as well, then you will also bring a lot of people on the same path. It's not possible that you don't. It's just the way of nature. You know, those who are ahead in the growth stage, they're gonna bring up a lot of people with them. It's just the nature of growth. So it's not that I want it this way, I'll plan it that way. These days, all my desires are pretty much attached to necessities, you know, and you will understand what I mean by necessity once you grow, you know, as a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur, and so forth, etc. I mean, I'm still the same person inside, right? But you have to adjust to business demands. And so here's why I'm here right now. It's not because I'm obsessed about wanting something that I cannot afford or I can, you know, I can have. But desires right now, for me personally, are always linked to necessities. I won't desire something that is beyond my reach because I already understand, I already see the nature of the ego grasping. And what the ego grasps is external objects of desire. And why does the ego do it? Because the ego, under the illusion or delusion, that believes that, you know, unless you have all these desires, these worldly desires fulfilled, you can never be happy. You wouldn't be happy, you know. So that those desires can be in material gain, material possession. It can be also like, you know, in the form of like external validation, like, you know, I have to have that guy, I have to be married to that guy. A lot of times it's not just about being with a certain guy, but I need it to be a certain way. Like I need to be married, I need to be engaged, I need to be this. So a lot of needs that come from this delusion that, you know, it will solve most of your problems if you attain those things. But of course, in the world, you know, this problem will still happen, will still exist, even when you attain all the goals that you want, you know, in life. You know, problem will always follow you because the same mind that perceives the world still hasn't grown one bit. So that's why my mission or my emphasis is always like understanding yourself, because when you understand yourself, you understand humanity, you understand other people, you understand man, you understand everyone. And then that's why you become a seer, meaning like someone who sees everything from, you know, the vantage point of 360 degrees. It's not Anderson Cooper, by the way. It's Karina Pang, 360 degrees, right? So in that light, today, I want to talk about something that probably is very close to you, whether or not you realize it. It's called neurosis. You wonder what is neurosis, right? So, and what causes neurosis? Typically, neurotic people are people who display these traits or tendencies. Number one, which is very obvious, is anxiety and restlessness, right? And what does anxiety and restlessness come from? Obviously, as I have said over and over, it comes from anticipation of the future. But we will go a little bit deeper later about on the cause of neurosis. Another trait: obsessive thoughts, compulsive behavior. So obsessive-compulsive disorder is also one of those neuroses that is very common. And hypochondria. What is hypochondria? The belief that, you know, this sort of strange belief that you are sick, right? For no reason. You just feel that, you know, you are so, like, maybe you're germ phobic, you easily get sick because of the germs around you, and etc. and so on. And of course, depression, right? And suicidal thoughts, for example. Also anger and rage. Another thing is history of dysfunctional relationships. It's neediness and codependency. If you are, in the habit of getting in and out abusive relationships or codependent relationships, it's a sign that you have neurosis. And also social maladjustment, not being able to fit in society to the degree that it affects your life and your inner peace, or your relationship. And financial issues, one after another. If you're always in money problems because you cannot manage your finances, it's a sign of neurosis. And perfectionism, if you demand perfectionism from people or you force yourself to be perfectionist at all time or all the time or more often than not, then you are neurosis. You are neurotic, sorry. And workaholism, so this excessive urge to always work. I think I could be a little bit neurotic in that way, but only because I don't view my work as, as a job. It's only because I see my work as a hobby. So to me, my vocation is my vacation. That's why, I'm enjoying it, right? So yeah, I like working, to be perfectly honest. And of course, stresses, right? And overeating, or the opposite of overeating, which is probably, the tendency not to touch food or worrying about the food that you put in your mouth. Basically, being a worrywart is a sign of neurosis. And all kinds of phobias and paranoia, right? And if you or someone that lies more often than not, a pathological liar or chronic liar, that also shows neurosis. And easily offended and hyper defensiveness is also a sign of neurosis. So we see around us a lot of people these days are so easily offended, aren't they? Like every little thing gets them riled up. So, and then go together with that, usually is this stubbornness and constant arguments, always wanting to argue and confront people how wrong they are, because you have this urgent need to be right more often than not. And you like also to moralize, to be so idealistic, like to preach, you are a moralist, you think, there is only a certain way, one way of living, and that is fixed. So anything that is against that is so wrong for you. That is also a neurosis. And that easily offended, being defensive, usually also comes with victim mentality and constant criticism and blame of other people. So you never want to take responsibility of your own woes in life, and you always pinpoint, of why you are in this predicament. It's because society does this, my parents did that, my wife, this did this, my husband abused me, and so forth and so on. Whether or not, some of them might be justified, but if that is the only way you can see things, meaning you are so one-sided, that's enough to call you neurotic. Okay, so what else? And of course, this jealousy and envy. And as probably mentioned in previous classes, jealousy is actually quite a normal emotion. But if it's excessive and you cannot contain yourself because you're always over jealous about anything, then yeah, it's a neurosis. And of course, guilt and shame is a typical, negative emotions that people carry in life, right? Can be also manipulative, vindictive, secretive, meaning that you're overly so secretive about things that, that seems just don't deserve to be secretive about, or things that, you know, then they don't really like matter, right? Irrational hate of people or certain group of people, you know, just this excessive, of course. Everything with neurosis is about just irrational and excessive and obsessive, right? So, and also sexual dysfunction of all kinds, sexual repression, one of them, and being obsessively self-conscious is also a sign of being neurotic. Like, for example, you always check yourself on the mirror every 5 seconds. I used to be that person, by the way. This day, I don't care if I look like shit, because I look like shit most of the time. So, yeah, I'm always worried about how you look, you know, like being so self-conscious, being naked, for example, because you're not comfortable in your body, even nobody around, but you can even like look yourself naked in the mirror, right? That is a sign of neurosis. What else? Alcohol and drug addiction, or any kind of addiction, and being so anal, uptight, no sense of humor. That is also a sign of neurosis. And this predisposition to gossip, to love gossiping about people, that is also a sign of neurosis. So pack yourself in all these signs of neurosis. How many do you have? So now you understand why you probably aren't feeling, inner peace, because neurosis is why you're not feeling steady, not feeling grounded. Now, what causes neurosis? Remember, I used to say, or I have said it in the past, about the split mind. A split mind is basically, you know, when you are one thing, and you think you should be another way, or you should be another person, or you should be another thing. So there is a gap between what is and what should be. That causes inner conflict in you. The inner conflict is what neurosis is, right? So in other words, the non-self-acceptance of yourself as you are moment to moment causes you to fight yourself. And in the fight of yourself, you're going to project that discomfort arising from that inner conflict onto other people, making it as if people were the problem, not your own self, not your own inner conflict. So that is a splintered personality, as Gary Zukav uses it, or the split mind. So a mind that is not grounded, a mind that is not one with what is. If you are one with what is, whatever that is, meaning you have mastered this radical acceptance of what is, of reality, and you're not arguing with reality, you have come to inner peace, peace of mind, and you have no more neurosis, right? I would say, you know, probably I have curtailed 98% of my neurosis. So I no longer go through life with this like inner conflict. You know, if I'm 1 minute I'm feeling lousy, then I let myself feel lousy. You know, I don't try to tell myself it's so not cool for you to feel lousy. You're supposed to feel this, to feel that. You know, it shows that you are not really a together person because you feel lousy. For example, although, you know, I rarely feel lousy, if any. So these days, how I feel is just like this. Feel at peace with myself. That's the word. You know, it's not like excessive joy, because joy that is part of duality is always followed with what? Sorrow. Joy and sorrow come together. But if the joy comes from natural acceptance of reality, of what is moment to moment, that kind of joy has no opposite. That kind of happiness has no opposite, because the joy and happiness I talk about don't arise out of conditioned things. It's not because I have this house I'm happy. It's not because I'm in a great relationship I'm happy. I'm happy anyway, despite all of those. So those things are just icing on the cake, you know, because I'm already happy. Now I have a good relationship. I have a great home. They make me happier, obviously, you know, make me feel blessed. There is no one day pass without me, you know, counting my blessings. Every day is a blessed day for me. And I always say thank you to the universe every time I wake up. So that is the kind of happiness and joy I'm talking about. Unconditional, you know. So one day, if I can no longer live in this house, if, you know, I can have the relationship I have now, I'll be fine too. I will quickly adjust. That's what neurotic free people master. They quickly adjust to whatever it is moment to moment, because they have no resistance in them. They don't fight anything, you know, about life. And because why don't they fight? Because they're wise, because they see the futility of fighting, the futility of overly idealistic about things. You know, of course, you know, sometimes I understand, yeah, being idealistic when it is in our reach, it's good. But a lot of times, you know, being idealistic, but you're not in a position to reach them, it will only create this inner conflict, this neurosis, right? So there you go. That is something you can look within yourself whenever you feel like, oh, I just want to, because you're feeling so frustrated about something. That is your neurosis rearing its ugly head. So, which means you have to go back to the moment. The moment right now, this is the situation. This is what you have to adjust to. This is what you have to accept. Fighting reality isn't going to make reality any different. It's just going to make you suffer so much. Okay, and when you suffer, you bring that suffering onto your environment. You bring your suffering home. You bring your suffering onto your relationship, right? You bring your suffering into your surrounding, whatever it is, to your workplace. So your mood and your emotions will eventually affect, you know, the ambience, the atmosphere of your surroundings. So we need it so bad that you overcome your neurosis. So we need it so bad that you become more conscious, more aware. So being aware or being conscious is not just going to be the greatest gift to you yourself and your relationship, but it will be the greatest gift to the whole of mankind. You know, so if everyone just takes a moment every day just to take inventory of their own stuff, right, and just sit and look into their own stuff instead of being a busybody trying to fix the world, you know, what a difference this world is going to be. Because once you change yourself, you will change a lot of people around you too in the process. That's what I do with what I do, right? Because I've changed myself so profoundly. I bring that effect onto you, my clients, my dear fans, like, so I can teach you all these things, because, you know, it's very hard for people who have evolved just to keep these things, that this knowledge, real knowledge, by the way, not borrowed knowledge, this real knowledge from the masses, because this is what's going to transform our humanity. This is what going to transform our world. So we become more peaceful within ourselves, then we will bring peace into the world. That is how you create world peace, not by trying to fix things, you know. Even though, yeah, there are times, there is time that you probably need to do that as well, you know, on the political levels. I don't deny that. But for the most part, changes always starts at home. Someone closest to you is yourself that you need to change before you can change other people. So, okay. So if you have any question, ladies, please write it on the comment section. So let's see the questions I've gathered so far. This is from Amal. Amal asks, Kat, why am I attached to guys that I know want nothing to do with me and are bad for me? Especially when I'm in a place when I can't rotate, or I don't have much chemistry with anyone in my rotation. Why? Because that's what the ego does. The ego wants validation. So the more a guy rejects you, the more he becomes so interesting, right? It's also because maybe it's related to the way you are brought up by your parents. If your parents were absent, especially if your father was absent, and you had to work hard to win his love, that's the first role, the first male role model in your life is your father, right? So if your father is always elusive, and then that is the only reference you have about a man or about being a man, then you will be naturally gravitated toward the same kind of man, and because you don't have any experience otherwise. And with your father, you had to win his approval, his love, and because of that conditioning, you grew up thinking, unless I work hard for my approval, for being loved, then it's not worth being called love. It's not being enough validation. So then we go through life repeating the relationships we have with our parents, especially the parent of the opposite sex. Okay, so that's why there is a saying that you always marry your mother and father until you heal, of course, right? So, and another thing is, maybe because you yourself are emotionally unavailable. Like I always say, if you're always attracted to unavailable guys, the only reason is because you cannot go deep and you are too scared to go deep. You don't want to be vulnerable. You don't allow yourself to be vulnerable. If you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you get so tired with this same kind of man who cannot go a distance, right? So it's very related to your self-image, self-worth. And because to a lot of women, they need challenge too, because of their masculine energy, especially. Masculine energy love challenges. The more challenging a man is, the more desirable he becomes. Because, masculine energy wants prizes, want a prize. That's why I always say, be a prize, because that is what men are gravitated toward. So if you yourself are gravitated toward a prize, meaning you need to chase, you need to work hard to gain love and a man's devotion, meaning you are still in your masculine. And being in masculine, more likelihood also you become more emotionally distant, emotionally unavailable. I'm not saying all men are emotionally unavailable, but men in general are a little bit slower when it comes to emotions, right? They need to be very sure before they can jump in with both feet. While women in general, of course I'm generalizing, we want, the minute we are hooked on a guy, we want the whole enchiladas, right? We want everything now. So unless, of course, until we are aware that we are scared, whenever we are in the relationship, we realize that the relationship is not what it's cracked up to be. That's why in my latest blog post, I said, do not seek happiness in a relationship because it's an impossibility. Seek to be conscious instead. You cannot be happy in a relationship unless you already are a happy person, like I said earlier. Okay, Amal, does it answer your question, honey? Okay, this is from Angela. I agree with Amal. I'm having a problem attracting quality men that I feel chemistry with. My laid-back feminine energy draws the shallow, just wanna have fun cuties, and the more quality in that man just want the younger wild girls instead of me. It's frustrating. Angela, I think it's a blanket statement. I don't think you have met enough men to to conclude that. I understand when I was single too, you know, I kissed a lot of frogs to find my Prince Charming. It's just like, it's a numbers game. It's unavoidable. But it doesn't mean that those guys, you know, are what you say, you know. Masculine men are always going to be attracted to feminine women. Maybe in the beginning they are lured in by the excitement of having like alpha women who are just so like forward, right? But they'll be sick of these women in no time, because that kind of thing, it gets old. Yeah, the first few times the sex was fantastic because, you know, wow, you know, she's so crazy. Crazy women are generally like, you know, they're crazy in bed too. They're fun in bed until, you know, they bring their craziness outside the bedroom. Then it becomes a problem. So I don't think I agree with you in that, you know, just because you lean back in your feminine energy, you know, the shallow man, you know, sort of come out of the woodworks trying to court you or trying just to have fun with you, which, by the way, men like that exist everywhere, right? Especially today in internet, in the internet era. So it's unavoidable. And by the way, Angela, if I can, you know, I can probably persuade you a little bit. Try not to be judgmental of guys because they want sex with you, because they want to have fun first before anything else. Then they're not quality men. So I disagree with that. Okay, a lot of guys, doesn't matter if they're quality or not quality. Yeah, of course, they're gonna look for fun first. And what's wrong with fun? I look for fun first too. You know, if I cannot have fun with them, you know, what kind of relationship can you expect to flourish out of that non-fun relating? So fun is good. So there is everything in it. Everything is in its own time. You understand what I'm saying? There is time just to relate lightly. There is time to rotate. There is time just not to start talking about feelings left and right. And there is time for you to be vulnerable, to commit, to, you know, go through or ride through the waves, right? All the ups and flows and the challenges of a relationship. So there is a time for everything. So if in the beginning he seems always just want to chill and Netflix and always want to hang out, I have to say these days most guys no longer think in terms of, you know, oh, I have to take her out on a dinner, and, you know, I don't think guys think so much of that. They just want to know if they can relate to you first. Do you understand? Doesn't mean that they won't take you out. A lot of times guys just want to feel you. And when they realize that, hey, this girl has so much more that, you know, than what I thought she had, then he would begin, or they would start stepping up their games. They might start, you know, taking you out more because they want to invest. So when a guy wants to invest, it's a sign that, you know, he is courting you. But it doesn't necessarily have to happen the first few weeks or first few months even. So how can I say it? I said it because, you know, Joey and I started as, you know, we just hung out like that. Yeah, a lot of sex. Yeah, hung out. But then one day, you know, he just wanted to take me out, take me to the beach. And I realized that he, you know, he saw more than just, you know, casual FWB kind of relationship with me. That's how you know. But then a guy will always pace you. Will always try to tame your expectations as well. So be always aware of it. And since you are not obligated to anyone, right? You're not. He hasn't claimed you. So your protection, the way you hatch your bed, is by not being exclusive with any guy or him, right? So you don't have to worry if he seems shallow in the beginning. So just ride through the waves and see where it takes you. You might be surprised. That's why be open-minded. Your judging mind is not helping you. And not every relationship is going to unfold the way you think it should be, or the way you compare it to other people's relationship. That's what a split mind is. Split mind is always judging. It's always anticipating. That's all the anxiety, the rage, the anger, all these emotional distresses come from, because you cannot just be in the moment. You cannot just be happy being in the state of unknowing, right? The ego doesn't like to not knowing anything. The ego needs to know everything ahead of time, right? That is what causes neurosis. So, do you understand, Angela? Okay, now from Andrea. How do you react to controlling words and behaviors from guys, especially constant criticism? Do you go along with it verbally and do what you want at the end of the day, or do you set boundaries? Depends. A lot of things are your own perceptions. So what you perceive as criticism might not be that. So the more you are defensive, which means the more neurotic you are, the more you will perceive criticism. So unless you do the inner work, then you will know the difference. So anyway, it could be as well that he is truly controlling. And if that is the case, and you know beyond the shadow of a doubt that he is a controlling and always very critical of you, then don't be with that person. It's as simple as that. You know, if someone is always sort of on my case, I don't want to be with him. I cannot spend time with him without sulking. So in the end, you know what? I'll just leave him alone. You don't have to fight him either. You just, you know, just ignore or remove yourself, or just, you know, withdraw. And again, as a woman, we haven't used the full capacity of withdrawing, right? We always want to talk. We always want to express our feelings. We always want to nag and communicate and fix. And that's why you are with me right now, because that hasn't worked. So instead doing all those things, implement the same strategy or same tactic that most of these men do, which is pulling back, pulling away, withdrawing. That's how you do it. And if he wants to talk, if he asks you why, then you can explain why. But other than that, then you will be on that sort of typical mode of trying to fix and over-expressing yourself, which is quite a turn-off for a lot of guys. Okay? So be quietly confident. That is the one thing that I teach in the Leaning Back workshop. This quiet confidence is what makes any man go gaga on you. They will be just so mesmerized by your this steadiness, this groundedness, just being okay with whatever. That is an amazing fit, an amazing trait that very few people, or very few women, of course, very few women have. Doesn't mean that you don't have any boundaries. You know, if you, as I said before in one of the previous classes, one way for you to have high standards is by softening your boundaries, because when your boundaries have been softened, you can basically you can distinguish who is just an asshole, who is normal, decent person, right? And then you can, because you understand which is which, then you can stick to your standards. You know, like when your boundaries are softened, you don't get all bent out of shape because he's not committing yet. He still seeing other women, right? But you also know at the same time that you're not obligated to him. So he can do whatever he wants while you free yourself to do whatever you want. That's what makes you incredibly irresistible, because you just don't care. You could care less. You just know how to take care of yourself without an apology. You see, when you just put yourself first and foremost and without guilt tripping any guy, he will bow to you. You know, you're the goddess, man, the goddess. He won't be able to resist you because he knows a woman like you is so rare. It's probably like 5% of the population has that kind of like groundedness, understanding of human nature, understanding of self as well. Because self-knowledge leads to knowledge of other people. Okay. Okay, Andrea, does that answer your questions? Seems like you have a controlling boyfriend or EUM here, which means if you're so bothered by it, but you cannot leave, then there's stuff you need to work on. So we can do it together, you and me, in this new program, Module 5 of Feminine Magnetism Group Coaching, which is Salvation Through Relationship. So whatever's unresolved issues that you have in your relationship, it's because you have unresolved issues within yourself. So you can try to unravel these knots in the class. We have one class left, probably next weekend. So please sign up. And then I can pinpoint, you know, more clearly what those unresolved issues are. Okay. Now here's from Leslie. Hi, Leslie. This is my accountant, by the way. Let's talk about how internet porn is killing the ambition of men. They don't want to chase because it's easier to deal with FWB, or friends with benefits, or casual situationships. They don't mind when you lean forward because they don't want anything serious anyway. They always have internet porn like fast food whenever they want it, and relationships require work. Yes, honey, porn is here to stay, so don't fight it. If you cannot fight it, join it. So who doesn't watch porn? Just be honest, right? So, of course, especially men, you know, they're gonna love to watch porn. So don't pathologize them for liking porn. Yeah, there is a problem if it's excessive use of porn. Yeah, obviously gonna distort your perception of what real sex is or what real women are like, because, you know, I can't compete with porn stars. Not even trying. So no, yeah, back to your your question. I think a guy who doesn't pursue you, pretty much, it's just he's not that into you, or because he is in a situation that he cannot pursue. He is not able and not willing for whatever reason. For example, if he is deep in custody battle, for example, with his ex, or he's, you know, going through a divorce, or trying to sort of be over a dying sick child. So a lot of emotional baggage they're currently in. Very likely they're not very motivated to pursue you, and it's nothing personal, because for guys, love is about timing for the most part. It doesn't matter how wonderful you are, how feminine you are. If he is not healed from his past baggage, he cannot concentrate, he cannot focus on you. And it's nothing about you. So do not take it personally. You know, the habit of taking things personally is also a sign of neurosis. So, you know, just be compassionate. You know, for whatever reason he's not pursuing, then so be it. If you're okay with having sex once in a while, so you have to treat him like a booty call, and so be it, right? As long as consensual, you know what I'm saying? So take whatever available, take whatever works in the moment, right? So, and it doesn't mean that one day he won't be able to, you know, to relate emotionally deeper than to you. But right now it's probably not the time for it. So instead of worrying yourself sick about the whys, you know, answering the whys will never get you anywhere. So why not just move on? I mean, you don't have to shut the door completely. You can always respond when he comes to you. right? But if he offers you friendship at this time too, so if you're okay with that, what's wrong? You know, you can always use good friend in a man too, right? So, but do not think that it's because of you, is your problem, blah blah blah. So just instead of worrying of guys who don't show up, be attracted, or practice being attracted to guys who show up, guys who pursue you, guys who want you and are interested in you. Okay, the hallmark of uh, self-esteem, I guess, yeah, self-love, is that you're turned off by guys by people who don't like you. If a lot of you actually love a guy more because he doesn't want you, that's a sign of neurosis. So you might want to look into it. All right, it's getting dark now, ladies. But anyway, let's see what the others say. All right. So let's see what other questions do you have before it gets dark. This is from Jacqueline. I don't really have a question. I appreciate you, and I'm happy I found you. Thank you. Thank you, honey. I appreciate you too. Feeling is mutual. Thank you for being here. This is from Debs. Hi, Kat. I firmly believe that what you think is what manifests in life. What have been your what have been your thoughts that have been manifested into your life today? Uh, Not, I don't know. I don't think about anything. I just do whatever I like moment to moment. I cut a lot of thinking. A lot of time you don't need to think. So again, I bring something that is um, so uncommon, right? It's so like not many people understand or even like know these things. That's why I love bringing this new like this new piece of news to you all, that you don't need to think most of the time. Drop the mind. You know, the mind needs time to exist. The ego lives in time. So, sorrow, suffering, neurosis need time to exist. When you no longer care about time, meaning psychological time, not clock time, then you no longer have suffering, you no longer have neurosis, you no longer have the ego to defend more often than not. But I'm gonna smack you if you annoy me still. Doesn't mean I won't stand up for myself, right? So you just have enough ego to keep you safe, to keep you function in life, but the ego doesn't rule you. So thinking, the mind, ego, and all the repercussions that follow, which in the form of neurosis, psychosis, emotional roller coasters, suffering, need time to exist. Those who no longer live in time, no longer live in terms of the past and the future, but just pretty happy being in the moment, no longer experience all these things. And because you no longer spend your energy on these futile things, foolish things, worrying, then you have it intact for manifesting whatever dreams and desires that you have. That is why I have what I have. It's not because I think about it so much. It's because I don't think about it that much. I just do what I can. And because I don't worry about it, I can focus on things that improve my life. That's all. Wow, it's getting darker. Are you still seeing me? Okay, Debs, does that answer your question? Let's see. Let me see if I can have any light of some sort. It's kind of dark. Like, anyway, this is from Lindu Lindudu. You guys have funny names sometimes because it's fake names. With all these teachings, I have been more aware of people and their neuroses. How do we handle or shield ourselves from being too sensitive or empathic to their issues? Yeah, being sensitive, being empath, what you call empath, that is neurosis too. So, long story short, honey, comes to the retreat or sign up for Journey Inward, which is module 1 of feminine magnetism. Okay. All right. So basically, when you detach yourself from your ego, your neurosis will be diminished. That is requires a long story, obviously. Okay, this is from Angela again. You're so insightful, Kat. Thank you. Learning new things every day. Thank you for being here, Han. Okay. Viola said, I just tuned in now while doing a workout. Love listening to this. Thank you and happy workout. All right. This is from Defius. Kat, how do you manage to earn money doing what you love without having to take so much action? Oh, dear. No, actually, as I said, I work a lot. But because I don't have any worries in the world, I don't anticipate. Work doesn't feel like work because it kind of happens naturally. That is what I mean by the end of doership. I do a lot, but there is no doer in me. You know what I'm saying? I do a lot because out of necessity, because something that arises naturally moment to moment. So that is what Wei Wu Wei is. So again, come to the retreat and I'll teach you more about that. Okay. All right. Just one more question before I turn into this dark speckle in the sea of nothingness. I would like to know more what you mean about relationships saving you, like a mirror into yourself. I forgot how you worded it. This is from Alice. Yeah, actually, through relationship, we can see our reflection in our partners. Because whatever we project onto our partners is actually a reflection of the unconscious and denied part of ourselves. So that is the main, the theme of the salvation through relationship. So through our interactions with our partners, if we are aware, we will look into our inner reactions, right? And that inner reactions, those inner reaction, the whatever you feel, especially the negative feelings, tells you something about yourself, tells you something about unresolved issues about yourself. So that is the short version of it. All right, ladies, it's getting dark, and usually the light will be on by now, or a little bit. So I will just end this session. I'll see you again probably next week, and just check my wall every now and then for any announcement or anything like that. Thank you. Have a great night, everyone. Bye bye.